Juvenile crime in our state is a problem. This bill addresses part of the problems that may happen when a juvenile has a record that would preclude them from obtaining a firearm lawfully. Of course, we see all the time that juveniles are somehow getting guns unlawfully. Mr. Speaker, this amendment does three things with juvenile crime in our state. First of all, a lot of people don't know that when a juvenile is arrested for a crime, the case is actually adjudicated not where the crime occurred, but where the juvenile resides, which, you get kidnapping with a firearm happens in New London, but young man is from Waterbury. Well, all the witnesses, police, everybody who's involved in the case in New London have to traipse their way to Waterbury for adjudication of the case. So the first part of this amendment, Mr. Speaker, has the case, if it is transferred, only if it's transferred to the regular criminal docket, which is a very few cases, very small subsample, that they'll be adjudicated in the geographic area where the offense was alleged to have committed.
Mr. Speaker, I do rise in opposition to the amendment before us for several reasons. The first of which is, frankly, I think the amendment, although I'm not going to call it, I do think the amendment is only arguably germane to the underlying bill. But beyond that, Mr. Speaker, what I would say is I think sections 1 and 2 of the amendment have not had public hearings before the Judiciary Committee this year. But those provisions have had public hearings in years past by the Judiciary Committee, and frankly, were not well received by the committee for good reason. With respect to Section 1, which is the transfer of cases to the geographical area in which the crime was committed, the reason that provision has not been, or that proposal has not been accepted in the past is because of testimony and concern from not just stakeholders, but frankly from the judicial branch itself, talking about how services to an individual, services to a juvenile who commits a crime, the exact services that we want to get to someone to prevent them from committing another crime are more readily available to them in their own communities. And so if you move the case from, say, someone who's in Waterbury, they now have to travel to New London for services, they are more likely to recidivate. So for all of those reasons, Mr. Speaker, I do oppose the amendment. I think it is counterproductive to increasing public safety in our state, and unlike the underlying bill, which addresses firearm background checks, which will increase public safety in our state, I'm not sure this is even particularly germane. I urge rejection.
I don't think over the last 4 years or so, and I just want to take that little snapshot, that juvenile crime in our state has gotten lessened. Quite frankly, to make a case be adjudicated where the event happened, well, quite frankly, juvenile isn't going to be arrested there unless they got there. So from my perspective, if they were able to get to that jurisdiction to commit the crime, maybe they should be adjudicated where they committed the crime. It isn't like the place is taken out of a vacuum. I'm not willing to sit and wait. We have to do something here to protect the citizens of the great state of Connecticut.